We're trimming cannabis is the technical term. That's actually the term where the pot industry, the cannabis industry is trying to push everyone to say it's cannabis. That's what it really is. All these other words are just made up. Law enforcement likes to refer to us as manicurists. Yeah, we're manicuring. I don't know why they think that.
If you go back to the 60s and early 70s, during a Haight-Ashbury, peace, love, never take a bath kind of movement, there was somewhat of a movement north, and land was fairly cheap in Mendocino County. Mendocino is about 130 miles north of San Francisco.
The Emerald Triangle is 3 counties up here in Northern California. They call it the heart of the cannabis growing region of Northern California and the whole country for that matter. And it got nicknamed kind of the shape as the Emerald Triangle, you know, it's triangular.
We actually have families that have grown marijuana for 3 generations here. I'm not saying that as a good thing, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a factual thing. And it's certainly, you know, some of the conversations I've had with them is when they're in the back seat of my car, you know, going to county jail. And some of the conversations I've had with them is when we're in a restaurant having coffee together. It's a unique place, but I don't think anybody is embarrassed about the history. Some people are embarrassed that we're known for marijuana, but some people are quite proud of that fact.
My first crop was in 1974. I'm an activist and a producer, cannabis farmer. Well, they're really coming on, Sean.
Yeah, beautiful.
I was just raised in the cannabis business. I started dealing when I was 13 years old. We were black market, that's all there was. There was no regulated market when I grew up. So I was actually a very quiet, old school outlaw for most of my life. And that was really only about 10 years ago. It was kind of like I had a lot of people going to prison, I had a lot of patients that couldn't get medicine. I'd survived cancer with it, and I realized that as long as people couldn't get the medicine safely and easily, and as long as people were going to jail, that we had to stop it. And so from that time on, I've been very public.
Marijuana is such an ever-evolving topic.
Most of these states want to call it all recreational so they can tax it all. Most cannabis people would say it's all medicinal.
For the most part, the federal government has said that if the state law is complied with, that the federal government will not get involved with.
Tom Almond and I get along well. It's a very interesting thing, me coming from traditional being an outlaw and him being a sheriff and having to cross that line. Tom also understands that this is here to stay, that it might as well be done in a regulated market, it might as well be done the right way, so that we can do it properly and get the taxes and income in here. You know, so he's had to really balance a fine line, considering I couldn't ask for a better sheriff.
We're trimming ganja, pot, weed, cannabis.
The very best flowers are always going to be trimmed by hand. The machine beats up the bud. It knocks all the keef off it, you know, a lot of the resins. It beats up the trichomes. High-end bud isn't really sold with trim machines. So you want to get all the big leaf off the flower and stuff so it shows in a beautiful way.
Why do we trim? It's obviously financially motivation because it's not fun work.
They get up and work long hours, 7, 8 in the morning. Really slow trimmers can make as little as $100 a day. An incredible trimmer could make $500 a day.
One of the issues that we have with marijuana involves, at the end of the season, the final harvest. There's people who come to this county for the purpose of trying to get a high-paying job for tax-free money. Some people call them trimmigrants, some people just call them homeless people looking for something, you know, free.
Trimmigrants, they're nasty, disgusting, they smell bad, they're entitled. I'm just talking crap right now. Some of them are really great people. They're usually from foreign.
It's a new home, it's a new life.
We're a small county, so your labor force is really limited for what has to get done. You have to bring the workers in.
The trimmigrants started happening when all of a sudden it was all the people from Europe and South America and back east started coming in looking for jobs. They were migrating in for that. Really, most people will tell you that the best trimmers are really South Americans here and Europeans. People don't want to admit that because they're not legal trimmers. So I've got to say, with me being a public person, I can't really work with them like that, but I've been around enough people to realize it's a very valued commodity. And so people over the years find really good people and they keep them. They're musicians, they're artists, they're world travelers, and so they can come up and work for 2 or 3 months, make 20 or 30 grand, and then pay for their lives on the road.
Me and 7 of my friends did a 2-month-long road trip across the United States, and our end destination was to come to California to trim. I would love if I made 10 grand. That probably won't happen because it's already a little bit late into the season, but between 5 and 10, I would be super happy and know I'd have a comfortable winter and spring. Me and Emma are probably gonna go to either Central America. We don't really know yet. We're really just gonna go with the flow. We might not know until it happens.
Good people that are trimmers, that's a very high dollar commodity if you're a really master trimmer, because slow trimmers are going to go through a half a pound to a pound a day, and a really master trimmer can go through up to 4 pounds if they're really, really good.
This is what I just trimmed right here. It took me, now I'm really good at this, and I like to brag. That's a 4.5 hour pound. People dream of that.
The good trimmers, they're in high demand, and they make probably the most out of the whole crop for a short amount of time.
A lot of people can't sit for 6 hours, to speak of 12. So if they do $200 in a day and they work for 5 days and they take 2 days off, that's about the average.
So how much do you think you could make?
I'd think 15 grand. That's about 2,200 a week. What's divided by 7? That's $300 a day, yeah. About $300 to $400 a day is about what I can reasonably make. There's sometimes I'll come into work here at 8 a.m. and it'll be midnight when I leave. And I'll only get up for lunch meals, which means cooking. And while I'm cooking, I'll come back and work. And then I'll eat right here. I may go outside, stretch my legs for 15 minutes at most when you're really feeling it, or your back. Because I'm not only trimming, I'm also managing. They rely on me to keep an eye on the other trimmers, that they're doing the jobs correctly. We don't have like theft concerns here, but we sometimes have inexperience issues. And Tim Blake depends on me to keep an eye on people and give them a little bit of tutoring perhaps to improve their skills.
Yeah, you're doing good for your first day. We're gonna try and get you to cut a little less close, but at least you're cutting close.
We call ourselves like the Champagne district of marijuana, as in high-end, expensive, boutique. Anyone else will argue like they grow better pot than we do, but they don't. And you can't just throw a premium product through a machine and destroy it. It takes someone like me who's had some experience to present that product. Mike can grow the best cannabis on the mountain, but if he gives it to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, then it's ruined. Okay, not looking.
You're like the Ray Charles of trimming.
That's kind of a fail. I missed that. Almost a pass.
Yeah, I've known him for years and years. I've known Bijma for many years. And I know him and I trust him well.
I met Tim before I knew he was a weed grower, a pot grower, a cannabis farmer. Let's go with cannabis farmer. But I met Tim and I was like, can I work for you this year? I don't have a job yet.
He's an American, but he lives in Lithuania. He's interesting. He lives in Lithuania, and he's got a family there. But I know him from family in town, and his mom and stuff. So he's really like a immigrant foreigner traveler, but he's American.
I live in Willits when I'm working here in the summers, and in the winters when there's no work for me, catering, plumbing, trimming weed, trimming cannabis, I live back in Europe.
He basically makes the money, he goes home, lives in Lithuania for 8 months of the year, and then comes back.
This is trimmer's paradise when you get these big fat buds. So they're weigh a lot and they cut clean. First I'd lock off any big leaf that's left real fast. They're pretty easy to find. They all stick out. And then I do like a spiral twisting technique on this. It was a 5 gram bud, I did it in about 15 seconds, which is pretty good when you're going for a gram a minute.
Do you think if it does become more legal, like recreationally or federally, it could hurt the trimming business?
Yeah.
People 21 and older will soon be able to smoke recreational marijuana here in California. Voters approved Proposition 64. Nearly 5 million voters said yes to Prop 64, creating the largest market for marijuana products in the U.S.
I don't think we're going to get paid as much as we used to because taxes are coming in now. We never had taxes before, ever. Nothing.
People got paid through trade, so trimmers would just get paid in their medicine and they'd go out and sell it or hustle to do whatever they wanted to do with it. Now they're wanting us to pay through 1099s or through straight salary. Trimmers, when they were getting $200 a pound off a $4,000 pound, that made sense. Trimmers getting $150 to $200 off a pound that's selling for $1,000, now they're getting 15 to 20% of the gross. They're probably making more than the farmer is, and they're coming in for one day to trim it. You know, Mike's in here, spends 6 months growing this, and he's making $200 or $300 a pound off this. And he's looking at a trimmer that's coming in and making 150 to 200. It's nonsensical.
We're going to be getting checks this time, and it's self-declared like through the labor board, California Labor Board this year. It's interesting. The wages have already gone down from $200 a pound, $225 a pound, to $150 a pound, to machines and paying people $20 an hour to run machines.
Just like what America saw during the Industrial Revolution, you know, remember when the cotton gin was invented and it changed the whole mechanism of picking cotton and so forth. There's actually machines now that trim marijuana.
When this is down in the Bay Area, so trimmers can just drive from their houses and come over, then all of a sudden the farmer doesn't have to take care of them, they don't have to feed them. This is a normal job. And so what you're going to see is you're going to see much more of this being shipped to the Bay Area and processed down there.
I don't think that there's fewer and fewer trimmers coming to our county, but they're not getting jobs like they used to.
I hope this is my last year, but I say that the last every year, of course. Because like I said, it's a good job, it pays well, but I'm not in love with it. I'm a chef. I'd rather be cooking, doing parties all year, but I'm a summer party chef. And it's not summer anymore. Parties are over.
I feel like the trimmers have had the best job ever. They should be really thankful and grateful for what they've gotten and realize how fast it's going to change. The reason why it hasn't changed that quick is because there's still so much being grown and there's not enough trimmers. But as more of it goes to concentrates and more of it gets trimmed with trim machines, then they're going to have competition. It's going to be the end of the gold rush for trimmers.